You're saying my lines. Good morning. Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started now. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for coming to the Children's The Heart of the Matter Conference. Welcome to our workshop, Circle Time Toolbox, and it's presented by Al Hirsch. Just a reminder to turn your cell phones off or turn on silent. And please provide your undivided attention and enjoy.
Thank you. Again, my name is Al Hirsch. People also call me Alley-Oop. That's my stage name. I'm a professional children's performing artist. I travel all over the world doing kids' concerts, but I'm also an educator. During the down times, which is a lot of the time, I teach music and circle time at 3 different schools. One is a First Nations school, and the other 2 are Montessori schools that of mixed races. And I've been doing that for 20-some years now. So I've done millions of circle times. Uncountable number. I have no idea how many I've done. And I love doing them, and I've created and collected immense number of things. So the next 2 hours, we're going to do as many of those as possible. We're going to work on singing, we're going to work on movement, some games, puppets, storytelling, rhythm. There's a lot of things you can do at circle time. Circle time is your gathering time. Everybody's busy doing all these things, and then you get together. What do you do at circle time? How many of you are in charge of circle time at your school? Aha. How many of you do it often at your school? Everybody does it once in a while. And you're always looking for things to do at circle time, right? So you can read them a story, and you can play a game, or you can sing a song, or you can do a finger play, but you need more. That's why I'm here. I'm into this. People say, how come you give away all these ideas? Well, I can't be everywhere. And I make recordings of this stuff. I have books on it. And I want you to do what I do, because it's fun. And I got a lot of these ideas from other preschool teachers. Woody Guthrie is one of my sources. You ever heard of Woody Guthrie is? The famous folk singer from the 50s. He wrote hundreds of children's songs. Nursery rhymes. The English really got into nursery rhymes. That's where all the nursery rhymes come from. The old, what used to be called nursery schools. Anybody here call their school a nursery school? That's the old hat, right? Nobody does that anymore. Now they're called preschools. Anything else? Early childhood centers. Strong Start, Head Start, Strong Start. Okay. So anyway, earlier somebody mentioned that they need help with their singing. I teach children singing, and I use various different techniques to get them to sing. Sometimes a little 3-year-old's just going to look at you like, I'm not doing that. So you kind of have to trick them a little bit. You have to make it fun. And they love movement along with singing, anything that has to do with your hands, using your hands. But before I do that, I'm going to give you all a singing lesson. So if you went to a voice coach, you'd pay $60, $80 an hour to get voice lessons, one-on-one, right? And what they would do was give you some exercises too, both breathing and singing exercises. But mostly they would work on your mind, because singing is a form of self-esteem. If you can sing, you feel good about yourself. And if you can't sing, you don't. And you have doubt about, I can't sing, I'm terrible. I've been singing all my life since I was a kid. When I first started doing children's concerts, I didn't want any adults to be there. I was embarrassed. I was scared people were going to laugh at me. I'm just singing these silly kids' songs. But I knew I was a vocalist. I knew I had talent, but it was still, I had doubt about myself. And that's what we all go through. When you sing, you have doubt. And that affects your singing ability. Okay? Your larynx in here, and your vocal cords, they've got nerves, and they're attached to the brain. Okay? And when you have self-doubt, you don't sing as well. I'm off key. Oh, God, I'm off key. It's the worst thing. When you think that's the first thing that happens. So, I'm going to start off by teaching you how to breathe. Okay? Everybody, take a deep breath in your nose. Breathe out your mouth. Now you know how to breathe, okay? We're going to take the next breath and we're going to breathe out a sound, ooh, and we'll let it go for as long as we can, okay? Don't worry about anybody else, what they're doing, just sing ooh, and basically we're going to blend all of our voices together into one big ooh. So take a deep breath. Ooh. Not as louder than all 30 of you put together. This is what I'm talking about, the shyness, okay? You're shy about your voice. Everybody is. Even Barbra Streisand, you know who she is? Won all kinds of awards. She has stage fright every time she goes out on stage. She thinks she's going to bomb. And so she has a voice coach. And what that voice coach does is, oh, you're wonderful. You sound great. So in a few minutes, I'll have you all sounding great, okay? Take another deep breath, and we're going to make the sound E. Deep breath. E. You have to be smiling. E. Okay, another breath for the sound O. O. And now the sound A. Now we're going to go really long with the sound ah, okay? Deep breath. Is everybody able to do that?
Yes.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with your voices, they work. So it's not a physical thing, it is a mental thing. Singing is all about the mind. It's so much of it, it's scary how much it is. So we did 5 sounds, we're going to do all 5 of them in one breath now. Deep breath. Ooh, ee, oh, eh, ah. Okay, we'll do that one more time, but I want you to look across the room at somebody else and look at their mouth. I want you to analyze what they're doing with their mouth. Watch them, okay? Deep breath. Or you can just watch me if you want. Deep breath. Ooh, ee, oh, eh, ah. Okay, what can you say about what we were doing with our mouth? Anybody want to make a comment?
Non-stop.
You're smiling on E? Okay, what about ooh? What were you doing on ooh? Puckering? Ooh. What about O? You made a little circle with your mouth? Oh, how about A? Your mouth opened a little bit wider? And what about ah? It's supposed to open up really wide. If you ever watch an opera singer, their mouth opens up like, ah, and that sound ah releases the tension in your jaw when you make the sound ah. It's like laughing, ha 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 ha. It releases all the tension that's in your jaw and it really helps you relax. So laughing and singing are very good for relieving tension. So those 5 sounds, ooh, oh, eh, ah, I do this with 3-year-olds. They can do it. It's simple, but you have to have more fun with it than that. So now we're going to make them swing a little bit. Let's take a deep breath. Ooh. Breath. E. Breath. Oh. Breath. One more. Okay, now we're going to put all 5 of those together. One breath. All right? Deep breath. Ooh, ee, oh, eh, ah. How's everybody doing? Is this easy? Is this easy? Some people are still, they don't want to answer. Still not, you're not there yet. Okay, so these are examples of some of the exercises. Going as long as you can. Kids love this. How long can you keep going? Well, some of them know how to do a thing called circle breathing. Where they never stop. They can go on because they're breathing in their nose while they're singing. It's a talent that you can develop, or it comes naturally to some people. Children will sing naturally in a correct way until you teach them otherwise. So if you're singing with your mouth closed, here's what it sounds like. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Or if your mouth's open, twinkle, twinkle, little star. It's like a megaphone. Okay, your mouth is a part of your voice, as well as your ear, your jaw, your skull, your throat, your neck. Your voice is your body. That's why we all sound differently. Our noses are all different, our lips are all different. We all sound different because of our physical body. Okay? You all have vocal cords, or vocal folds sometimes they're called. If you can imagine 2 little stringy things right on top of your windpipe that open and shut. Okay? And when you're singing, they vibrate. And when you're talking, they pound on each other. Like So people that talk too much get hoarse. Teachers get hoarse all the time from talking too much, especially like 5th, 6th grade teachers that are having to talk over the noise all the time. Some of them are perpetually hoarse. And so when you're singing, they vibrate and they like it. They like it even better if they're wet. So if you drink coffee, that will dry out your voice. So you must also follow that with water. You have to drink a lot of water. Now when you drink ice cold water, it makes your vocal cords constrict. It makes them really tight and it's hard to sing. So if you drink warm water or just tepid water, it doesn't have to be heated, it loosens them up. And so professional singers right before a show will drink cups of hot tea or warm water. They'll gargle with it just to loosen up the vocal cords. So, I mean, it's a pretty simple thing to do. Yeah, how's your voice? Everybody got a voice? Okay, you want to try something else? Okay. One of my favorite tools for circle time is a xylophone. Anybody have a xylophone in their school? A couple people? Well, I bought this at a toy store, not the box itself, but just the xylophone. And I carry this around to my music classes. And this has 8 bells on it. You can get some that have more. You can get what's called a glockenspiel, which has like 30 bells. So depending on how far into it you want to get, but even just a simple little toy xylophone, Fisher-Price xylophones, they have 8 bells. In music, there are 8 steps to a scale. Okay? Want to help me count them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's count down. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and then everybody here knows do, re, mi. We all took that in elementary school somewhere way back when. Well, I don't even start with do, re, mi. That's later on because it's more fun to just take oo for a little walk. So let's take the sound oo. You're singing scales, by the way, in case you didn't know. Okay, let's take E for a walk. Oh, all by yourselves now. Deep breath. Okay, A. Last one, ah, all by yourselves. Deep breath, open your mouth wide now. You're louder than you were a few minutes ago. You feeling better? Okay. Breathing helps, doesn't it? Just breathing gets your brain going. Okay, with the xylophone, you can do skipping, right? Oh, I missed one, sorry. Where am I going to go here? Okay, so we're going to try that with just ooh. That's skipping notes, very simple, but it's another little exercise. Now, if you're doing this with children, we've already done it too long. Okay, this is something you do for like 5 minutes tops. You wouldn't do all of these in one day with kids. You just start it, and maybe you do 1 or 2 things with the xylophone, and maybe the whole exercise would last 5 minutes. Yes?
Question, do you or anyone know stories for that? I went to, one of the teachers did a story.
Yes, but that's next, okay? They're poems, actually, is what they are.
Beautiful.
The scale, people have been making these up for a long, long time. You probably already know one of these. Let's see if you know any of these. A chubby little snowman had a carrot for a nose. He stood still awaiting, for whom do you suppose? Along came Hungry Bunny, looking for some lunch. He ate up Snowman's nose with a nibble and a crunch. Crunch, 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 munch. Okay? Kids love these. Is this what you're talking about?
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, there's variations on this.
Yeah.
Everybody here know who Sherry Lewis was? Sherry Lewis was a great puppeteer and singer. And, she had her own TV show. She was 16 years old. Her father said, you know, if you learn how to do puppets and tell stories, you'll always have a job. And she did, of course, and she wrote books. But you know, she just, You just have to make it fun. But she gave everybody a license to create. That's what you have. You have this creative license, okay? Take old things and make them your own. How do you think Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star got started? Somebody added the melody. Now ABC is sung to that same melody. Ba Ba Black Sheep is to that same melody. So you can take a melody and make it your own by adding the words you want, or using the scale. You can make it tell a story, but you have to spend some time practicing it, right? So here's another one. Kids love this one. I have a little puppy. He has a stubby tail. He isn't very chubby. He's skinny as a rail. Although he is a puppy, he'll never be a hound. They sell him at the grocery store for 20 cents a pound. Bow wow, bow wow, bow wow, hot dog. And that's exactly what they all laugh at the end. It's really funny. But you have to get them to say it, okay? And there's a whole bunch of these. I learned this next one from a teacher from Sweden who said that she learned it as a child and she was teaching at a school that I was visiting. So I learned it from her 20-some years ago. And the kids love this because you get to pretend with this too. Now, we're going to get further into this, but getting children to sit still and be quiet is fighting nature. Okay? If you think your job as a teacher is to get them to sit still and be quiet, you're fighting a losing battle. Your job as a teacher is to get them to move in a controlled way so that they're not going to hurt each other. So in this next one, you just do a little acting, okay? So I'm going to pass out some pretend balloons to everybody. There you go. All right, these are red balloons, okay? So the first thing we're going to do, blow up your balloon, tie it nice and tight, hold on to the string, let's go for a ride. Here comes the birds, flying from the trees, chasing our balloons. Stop, birds, please. Pop, 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 pop. Oh no, they popped my balloon. Inevitably, one of the children will say, "Want somebody to be one of the kids?" Didn't get mine. And so you can do that 2 or 3 times, and then you stop, and then maybe 3 days later or 2 days later, you do it again. And you repeat those, and I try to do seasonal things, like squirrels going up trees in the fall, and there's a spring one, let's see, I still have the puppy one still, that's a kitty one. There's a little kitty, no, look at it in the book. I haven't done this one yet because it's winter time still. So. I call these scale poems. I've written some of them myself as well as collected them, of course. I remember it now. I know a little kitty, her coat is silver gray. She lives out in the meadow, not very far away. Although she is a kitty, she'll never be a cat, for she's a pussy willow. What do you think of that? Meow, 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 scat. Now, the descending part of the scale, I always like to change those around and make them differently. And I always like the last note to be a different word because it makes them count in their minds. They know that something's different's coming, and it helps them memorize the scale, I think. But this is play, okay? We're playing with this. It's not like rigid, you have to learn this a certain way or do it a certain way. It's up to you. You can change these things, okay? So scale poems, there's lots of that, and there's more things, of course, you can do with your voice, but we don't want to spend the whole time on that, do we? I don't think so. There's other things that circle back. So singing with children. Singing the Incy Wincy Spider. How many of you do that already? How many of you do it the same way every time? Do I change it around? Here's how I do it. Ready? Hands ready? Itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and it dried up all the rain. So the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again. And down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and it dried up all the rain. So the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again, and down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and it dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider said, I'm not climbing up that spout again. I'm going to go climb a tree. Their faces light up when you do the second down came the rain, because they're so used to doing it the same way over and over again. They go, oh, what are you doing? It's like you're breaking the norm. And I find that kids love when you take a song that they already know and do it differently. I learned this once at a school that they did this song every day. And I said, well, let's do Open Shut Them. And they go, oh, not that one. We do it every day. So I said, well, let's do it a different way then. And so I changed this from a simple song to a dramatic song. Okay, so hands like this. Open, shut them. Open, shut them. Give a little clap, clap, clap. Open, shut them. Open, shut them. Put them in your lap, lap, lap. Creep them, slowly creep them all the way up to your chin. Open up your little mouth, but do not let them in. Ah. Run them, run them, run them, run them, run them to your toes. Run them, run them, run them, run them back up to your nose. Jump them, jump them, jump them, jump them, jump them to your knees. Jump them, jump them, jump them, jump them. Cover your eyes so you can't see. Peekaboo. Anybody have another verse they do with that? A different one than I did? There used to be one about leaves in the fall somebody did. Falling, 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 leaves are on the ground, something like that. I never do that one, but it's, I think there's, is that one you use?
Not very often, I always forget the words.
So will you send us these words?
I have a book with a CD that has everything I'm doing in it. And they're $10 for the book and the CD combined, so it's half price basically. Otherwise, you can watch the video when I put it on my website. It's coming. I'm videotaping this whole thing. So I mean, I used to give out handouts, but I got to the point where my handouts were so big and the text was so small, I had to keep shrinking it to get it on a couple of pieces of paper that I decided to make it out into a book.
Well, that's what I find with some of these classes. We don't actually get them to take home and incorporate it every day. We just need to remember it in these 2 hours, and then we don't actually get to use it. So that's...
Well, for many, many years I went to teachers' conferences and I always took a tape recorder. And so you can, and now the phones are capable of doing that, so you can just turn on your phone and record if you want. Or, like I said, I'm videotaping it, so it will be available that way. Or you can purchase my stuff if you want. You can also download the songs now. The books aren't available as a download yet, but that's coming. Eventually I'll get to that. So these the things that you do with your hands, when you're having a circle time, if you expect those children to sit still and you don't do things with their hands, they're going to start doing things like climbing inside their shirts, and playing with each other's hair, and poking each other, and wrestling. And the way to engage them is to do things that they get to do as well. So that's why you'd only do those singing lessons for just a short time, because after a while they'd be ready to play. And it's not that they have a short attention span. They have a great attention span for things that are perfect for them in the state of mind that they're in at that moment. So your job as an educator is to read them. As a performing artist, I have to read my audiences. If there's a bunch of adults there and they're all kind of fidgety and maybe you get them up standing up, you get the adults to do something, because the adults have a shorter attention span than the kids do in terms of things for kids. Kids' audiences are great, but boy, when you get a bunch of adults in there, they're awful. They're just awful. They're looking at their watches and checking their phones and trying to, how long is this going to last? So you want to read them, look at their faces, look, what do they need? Are they tired? You know when they're tired, you know when they're hungry, and you have to read them. That's your job. You're an observer of children, and that will give you a cue as to what you should be doing at that moment, whether it's a movement game, walking, jumping up and down. This circle on the floor here, we'll get to this right now. Maria Montessori, 1900, was the first female medical doctor in Italy. And when she graduated from school, they gave her a job in the slums of San Lorenzo, Italy, to take care of all these children running around so their parents could go to work. So she created what was called the Children's House. And as a medical doctor, she dealt with children in a zoological way. You know, she was a scientist, and she said, what do children need? Well, the first thing they need is furniture their own size. No one had ever done that before. Kids always sat in huge chairs and benches in schools, and so she created all this furniture for children. Everything was children's size. And one of the things she noticed watching children, I'm sure you've seen this too, is they'll walk on lines, like the cracks on the sidewalk. It's something they naturally do. So she incorporated that into her school with a line on the floor. I did this with packing tape that has the threads in it because it doesn't really disintegrate into the carpet. If you do, and some people have carpets that already have a circle on it, like a 1-inch circle. Anybody have that?
Mm-hmm.
So nobody? Anybody you do?
Yeah.
There are carpets that you can buy now that have circles built right into them. You can use duct tape, colored duct tape, but it also disintegrates eventually and creates a glue stain. And so these are issues. You can do it with chalk. You can make a circle out of chalk like that, but it'd be gone that day. But there's different ways to do it. But this is used as an indoor balance beam. It's also used as a form for everybody to sit on. Time for circle. Now, how do you get children to come to your circle when you're having a circle? Everybody use a bell? Traditionally, teachers had little bells, you know. Ding, 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 ding. Time for circle. In extreme situations, you'd be flipping the lights off and on. They're all yelling and screaming. You can't get their attention, right? You flip the lights off and on. I took a workshop from Sister Angela Martin, who was a Montessori teacher on Vancouver Island. And she had this little bell that she kept on a shelf. And when it was time for circle, she'd walk very slowly over and pick up the bell. And by the time she did that, the kids were already half sitting down because they loved her circle time. They knew she was going to be doing something that they liked. She built that love of circle, and then the bell was almost unnecessary. They watch the teacher as much as you watch them. Everybody see that's true? You notice them watching you, what you're doing? And so getting them to come to the circle, sometimes people use a song. Anybody do that? That's a very common thing. Just have a song. It's time to come to the circle, whatever. Usually you steal some old melody, which is perfectly okay, and you make that song up. How many have done that? Made up their own song for circles? See, you're already doing the Sherry Lewis thing. Just create. It makes it fun. So once you get them at circle, you're doing things like open, shut, and finger plays, which we'll do a few more of. The walking on the line is really interesting. Anybody ever done this exercise? So walking around a circle. Come on, a few people get up. This is a workshop, not a lecture. So you have to learn how to walk on the line, right? This is like a balance beam. So you start walking around, and you got to keep your balance. This is hard for adults. Think of a 3-year-old having to walk on this really little tightrope, right? And then that's the first thing, just learning to walk. And then the next step in the sequence is to walk with heel next to toe. So each one has to touch each step. You're walking heel to toe. It's very hard for me. My balance is way off. I must have a sinus infection. Woo, I'm going to fall over. Okay, and then you learn to carry things. Okay, so after you've really mastered that, like 2 or 3 times you've gone around, maybe done it for a couple of weeks, then you might carry a stack of blocks in your hand, 3 blocks, and try not to let them fall over. Or you might, you just keep walking on the line, you keep walking around the circle. And then you might have a pendulum, a block that's on a string, and try not to let it swing. Or you might have a little bell. Try to walk without letting it ring. And it teaches them balance.
Flags too.
I'm sorry?
Flags.
You can carry a flag. You can carry a glass of wine. Okay, champagne glass. It could be colored water. This is something so there, in the Montessori classroom, there'd be a little shelf of all the things you could do on the line. Okay? I'm sorry? Oh. You could have you could put a book on top of your head. You've seen people carry baskets on top. But that's the idea, is learning to walk with complete balance. So on a rainy day, you can't go outside to play. You could have a group of kids doing this. Okay, so it can be a group activity, or it can be a single child, one at a time. Some people, when they show you they're interested in that, you let them do it. They can do it anytime, so it's always available in your school. And once you do it as a group exercise, there'll be kids who will come back and practice it because they want to get good at it. And so it's a really cool thing. I've discovered this tape because I used to use masking tape at conferences, and then I found out after what we do today, 30, 40 people stomping on it, the masking tape would just get disintegrated into the carpet. And you couldn't pick it up. This I could just pick it right up and it doesn't leave any residue or anything. So the conferences don't get mad at me for ruining their carpet. So it's, okay, so we've all been sitting down for a long time, right? Movement, any kind of movement you do.